Satan wants you to doubt God's promises because doubt is the entry point to his greatest weapon, confusion. He knows that when you start questioning God's word, even just a little, you open the door for him to sow seeds of fear, insecurity, and disobedience. It's not a coincidence that the very first attack on humanity began with doubt. In Genesis 3 verse 1, Satan whispers, "Did God really say?" That single question unraveled everything, and today, he's still using it. When you doubt God's promises, you're secretly giving Satan a foothold in your life. You may not even recognize it, but every time you wonder if God really has your best interests at heart, you start to lose sight of his goodness. His promises, like the ones in Jeremiah 29 verse 11 and Romans 8 verse 28, are not just words. They're covenants that define your identity, purpose, and future. Yet Satan wants you to think they are negotiable, that God might change his mind, or that he doesn't really care about your situation. Why? Because doubt directly attacks your trust in God's character. When you don't believe that God will keep his word, you stop stepping out in faith, and you become paralyzed in fear. The moment you doubt, Satan pulls you away from God's power. You think that God's promises only apply to other people, not you. The enemy knows that once you start doubting, you'll slowly retreat from God's presence, stop praying, stop trusting, and eventually stop expecting the miraculous. Look at the Israelites in the desert. Their constant doubting led them to wander in the wilderness, missing the promises God had for them, promises that were already theirs if they just believed. And it's the same for you. Every time you doubt God's promises, you miss out on the victories, the blessings, and the breakthroughs that are already laid out for you. You don't need to chase God's promises, they're chasing you. Psalm 23 verse 6. Satan also knows that when you doubt, you start to look inward instead of upward. You begin to rely on your own strength, wisdom, and resources, which are always insufficient. Your faith in God's provision weakens, and suddenly, you're trying to solve problems on your own. You forget that God has already promised to provide everything you need. Philippians 4 verse 19. Doubt, then, becomes a tool to make you independent of God, and that's where the enemy wants you. Struggling alone, believing you've been forgotten. And here's the hidden danger. Doubting God's promises is a slow erosion of your relationship with him. It's not just about the promises, it's about the trust you lose in the process. When you begin to doubt his word, you begin to doubt his very nature, and once you do that, the enemy has won. If Satan can make you believe that God might not deliver, he can make you question your salvation, your purpose, and your future. It's a dangerous, hidden trap. But here's the truth. God's promises are sure. No weapon formed against you will prosper. Isaiah 54 verse 17. He is faithful to complete what he has started in you. Philippians 1 verse 6. And he will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13 verse 5. The moment you recognize doubt for what it is, a tactic of the enemy, your faith will rise. Doubt loses its power the moment you stand firm in the unshakable truth of God's word. The enemy's greatest fear is that you will trust God's promises with an unwavering heart, because he knows that when you do, you move from struggle to victory. When you doubt, you don't just fail to see the future God has for you, you fail to see that you are already a part of his victory plan. If Satan can keep you from believing that God's promises are true for you right now, he can keep you from stepping into the fullness of what God has called you to. But it's not too late. Stand firm. Trust in what God has spoken over you, because his word never fails. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to get the latest videos.